Okay, I want to talk about a little bit about, for people that are just getting going on guitar, sometimes you may know maybe 3 or 4 chords, maybe generally in the first position. Like, for instance, you know a D chord. Most people know that one. Probably know an E chord. Most likely you know a C chord. And let's just stick with those three for now and not even worry about anything else. So what I'm going to do is suggest that if you do know those chords, and I'm pretty sure you do, and I've been given some shorts on this. I thought I'm going to do an extended lesson on it. I'm going to give you examples of where you can go with each and every one of those chords, the D, the E, and the C, C, D, E, if you will. And by moving them up and down the neck, but not changing your actual configuration of your chord, your actual shape is the same, okay? But you're moving, like that. So I'm going to start out with the C chord, and I'm just going to move up from the C shape, C position, I should say. Okay, and then the same configuration with your fingers, just move it up 2 frets. Now I've shared this in a short lesson, but I wanted to get a little more detailed with it, and I'm also going to cover the other chords. So if you're strumming, you want to be conscious to keep that C note as your target note, and then move up to. What's happening there is, if you're careful, don't hit the low E if you can help it. It's in the chord, but it doesn't sound good. It sounds messy, right? Now, if you want to avoid that problem, do the big cowboy C, which I've shown you guys, simply by taking the 3rd finger, putting it on the 3rd fret of the low E string, tuck the pinky on the 3rd fret of the A, right below it, and then make your C like that. So instead of this, you're doing this. Many of you know this, I understand, but I want to share it with those that don't. So if you've done that, now you're buying yourself some insurance. So now when you move up and down from that C to the D, moving up and down 2 frets, you don't have to worry about that low E string anymore because you can hit it. And if you do it, what's that sound like? REM? Yeah. I don't know. Million songs, right? But it doesn't really matter. Just know that what's working for you there is you've got a C chord, which includes that open G string. There's the open G. It's a normal C chord, right? I'm going to play the big version now, the cowboy version. But when you let that E, that G string, that G ring out, and you move the chord, kind of have a dangling kind of feeling there, doesn't it? You really haven't done much other than moving your hand up and down the neck 2 frets. Now if you do a C7th, you move up to the 7th fret, you got an E chord. Kind of funky, that's a little bonus there. It's basically a C, but then you get the, because if you do this, not so great, right? But you can get away with it on your C to your D. Okay, so let's move on. How about the D chord? What can we do with the D chord? Well, the D chord, luckily for us, you can move up and down the neck a million different ways without changing your actual configuration of your fingers. You can keep the same shape, right? That's just regular old D shape. The beauty is you've got that D string droning, right? And the A too, if you want it. A is the 5th to D. So that happens in country a lot. But regardless of that, if you want to just take that, watch how many places you can go with it. So I'm not changing my actual, shape of my chord, but I'm going to go up 2. That's basically an E with a D in the bass. Kind of cool. And then going a half step more. It's an F with a D in the bass, which is what, I guess technically a D minor 7th, but we're going to call it an F shape because if you just do the D, E, F, G, A, you're covering a lot of ground there, and all the way up to the, what is that, the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th fret is an octave. I use that one a lot. I'll be playing So my point is that with the D configuration, you can get a heck of a lot of mileage just by moving up and down the neck. And if you explore it rhythmically, you can do like a, real free with it, almost Richie Havens style, right? Although I think he was in mostly open E tuning, but still the same premise. Now, one last thing before we leave the world of D, I'd be remiss if I didn't show you the Neil Young chord, you know. So you got your D, and then you move up to the fifth fret, which is the F position, and then open up that high E string. Just take your second finger off. There's that Neil chord. He's very fond of that. Thank you, Neil Young, and thank you, Larry Craig. We share the same guitar tech, me and Neil Young. His name's Larry Craig, fantastic guy, great musician, and man, he can do magic with guitars. He works on all my guitars. That's a story for another day. But a little piece of trivia, in that movie that Neil made, I think Larry plays the broom on one of those songs, so check it out. Larry Craig. Hey, Larry. How you doing, buddy? I think you're probably in France by now. So there's that D, and then all the way up to the F position, which is the 5th fret. Open up that high E, and you got that magic Neil Young chord. I might teach that song at jimmydillon.com, so hit me up and check it out. Finally, the last part of this lesson, I'm going to take the actual E chord, which again, I think most of you know by now. Hit lots of different ways to hit it. But let's just take the really simple, basic version, right? Now, if you take that E chord and you move it up to the A position, in this case, I'm going to move it to the 7th. I'm going to line up with the 7th fret. That's the 7th fret there. Okay, so your second finger on the A string is hitting an E note, 7th fret. Got it? So there's your fingering. Now you've got an A chord, which is your 4 of your E progression. And move it up 2 more, same positioning as far as the fingering. So the fingering has not changed. The shape of the chord has not changed. You just moved up and down the neck. So how cool is that? You got a 1, 4, 5, 4, 1. For those of you who don't know what that means, this is the 1 chord, the root chord. A is the 4 chord, the 4th, right? B is the 5th. Why does that matter? Because in a lot of country, what do they call it? 3 chords in the truth. A lot of country just has 3 chords. A lot of rock and roll has 3 chords. Lots and lots and lots of songs. So my point is that if you can play this, and if you're just beginning guitar, and you're playing that, you can make you finger that E chord, you're comfortable, move it right on up to the 7th fret. Here's the 7th fret here, right? That's why I call it the 7th. If it was a bar, it would be the 5th. But it's not. It's just all mostly open strings. Move it up 2 more, you got a B, which is the 5th, the 5. And now I'm going to play it in, within the context of say a song. And you're going to understand, you're going to hear, because you got to want to be listening, right, for the change. So you're strumming along in E, having a good old time. You're sitting by the campfire or whatever. Now let's move to the A. And let's go back to the E. Now let's go all the way up to that B chord. Now to the A. So then you're coming back around. What that is. I'm tucking my pinky doing the E sus. 2nd fret on the D string. On the G string, sorry. One more trick. There's a million of them. So what have we done today? We've talked about if you're just getting going on guitar, and this is, a lot of people in the world, quite frankly, I don't want you to get discouraged. I want you to be able to have fun right off. So by taking a simple C chord, moving it up 2 frets, we got a pretty nice chord there. It's a D with a G in there. I'm not going to get into the names of chords now. You don't need it. It's not important. What is important that you have fun. That's what's important. So there's the C version, C to D, C to D. A lot of mileage there. The D opens up a whole new world to you. You got a D, and if you want to go to the F position, there's a lot of Neil Young. G, A, all the way up to D. I think there's a So I wanted to give you the magic of moving up and down with the D. So your options are endless. You can move up 2 for an E, with a D in the bass. Has a sound. Go half step more, F, two frets more. So full step, G, full step up, A, and then jump all the way up to that octave. It's a fun one. And lastly, let's not forget E. Big badass E chord, man. All of rock and roll has an E chord, just about. I mean, listen to Bruce's stuff. It's big and it's bad, big bad voodoo. And that one, you can do an E and then move up to the A chord. Easy, 7th fret lining up here on your 2nd finger. B chord, 9th fret, back to the 7th fret, back to the E. So lastly, I'm going to give you one last little bit here before I let you go. This is from an old Cream song, I'm So Glad. If you just take that E and you move it up, so you climbed chromatically. First E position, then move up half step. One more, one more. It's I'm So Glad. Got it? All right, so there's my lesson on, we explored E, D, and C, and we just by moving up and down the neck and just, keeping our configuration the same, our shape was the same, never changed from the E or from the D or from the C, but yet we got some great sounds. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that unlocks, at the very least, some fun for you. So that you don't, I want you to stay with it, and really explore the guitar, and especially if you're just getting going. I know it's hard, it's physical, man. You have blisters on your fingers and trying to get it all going. So get that baby in tune and just have fun with it and just swing it, man. Swing for the fences. We'll see you down the road.